I think Indiana's upset over Oregon on the road in Autzen Stadium is the most impressive win of this college football season. And there's a few things to touch on here, just big picture wise with Indiana. It's their first top 5 road win ever. They were 0-46 before this win. So that's impressive to snap that, especially coming from a program like Indiana. They're not a blue blood. They're not a blue blood. They're not a football powerhouse. They're not a football school. They're a basketball school. But for football to be on this upward trend and to pull off, I mean, this is a program-defining win on the road against one of the best teams in the country. Some people thought Oregon was the best team in the country, and they're one of the toughest places to play in the country at Autzen Stadium. They had an 18 home game winning streak. Autzen did. It's loud, tough place to play. Very, very impressive win for Indiana. If you look at what they did on both sides of the football, they controlled the line of scrimmage, I thought, especially defensively. I think Oregon only gave up 1 sack this season going into this game, and then Dante Moore got sacked 6 times. Dante Moore in Oregon couldn't really do anything on offense in the second half. He had a couple turnovers. Indiana just looked like the better team, the better coach team. They were prepared, ready to play. And not that Oregon wasn't. Like, watching this game, and I rewatched it today, you really get a sense that this was 2 really good teams just kind of battling it out, but Indiana had the edge. Indiana was prepared and ready to play. And it's not that Oregon wasn't, but Indiana really shook some people and woke some people up, because throughout this season, I think a lot of people, including myself, were thinking back to, is this Indiana from last year? Is this the Indiana team that is undefeated, looks really good, is beating teams and, putting up a lot of points, but then you go on the road at an Ohio State and then, you get boat raced and you lose by double digits? This game going on the road at Oregon felt very similar in a way to Indiana going on the road and playing Ohio State last year. And for them to get out of here with a win, and they looked good doing it, pulling away in the second half, very impressive for Indiana. And what Kirk Cignetti is doing is incredible. And I touched on it already, but Indiana is not a football school. They're not a blue blood. They're not a powerhouse. And so for him to come in, immediately have that one-hit wonder season last year, and it's like, okay, that was really good, but, let's see, can he do it again? Not only is he doing it again in his second year, but they're even better, right? They got this first ever top 5 road win in a very tough place to play. Ohio State couldn't beat Oregon on the road in Autzen Stadium last year. And I know these 2 teams for Oregon aren't the same exact teams, but Indiana is an elite team right now. They have shown they are not a pretender. They are a contender for the playoff and to win the Big Ten. Let's go to Penn State. And these are going to be the 2 main talking points this week. There's a lot to unpack from the week, but the Indiana win and what happened with Penn State firing James Franklin, I think, are, to me, 2 of the top storylines, if not the 2 top storylines coming out of Week 7. $50 million buyout for James Franklin. He's done. They're done. I mean, at this point, it was inevitable. The loss to Oregon is fine. Now, it wasn't great because it just kept reinforcing, Penn State, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, right? Never being able to get over the top and not being able to beat Ohio State, Michigan, win the Big Ten, can't beat Notre Dame. You're not beating the talent-equated matchups, the talent-equated games. And that sucks. That totally sucks to always be really close and never get there. But at least in the fallback, and Penn State fans would say this, the fallback is, well, at least James Franklin wins the games he's supposed to win, right? Yeah, you're not winning the games where that's a better program. Ohio State's a better program or a better team. Or even if you think you're the better team on the field that day, that dynamic is a little bit different. But if you're winning the games you're supposed to win, that's how you can see James Franklin and Penn State kind of be content with what they have. And this year, obviously, that's not the case. So you lose to Oregon, that sucks, but it's fine, especially in today's world of college football. You can have a loss like that, and it's not the end of the world, not a big deal. Then you lose to UCLA. Horrible loss, trap game, and it just really exposed some things and confirmed some concerns that a lot of people had about Penn State, because Penn State's non-conference schedule was a joke. They did not look good earlier in the year. They finally play a team with a pulse, Oregon. They look okay. Maybe they could have won. They came back, and then they lost, and it's like, okay, that's not good. And then you play UCLA, a team that hadn't led at all this season up until that point, and UCLA drops a 40 bomb and comes out with a win. And that was just like glaring like, okay, red flag, alarm bells are going off. This is not right. And so now, then the following week, you play Northwestern, and I don't know if I have any words. Like, to lose that game just doesn't even feel real. Penn State's 3-3 on the year. Drew Aller goes down. He's hurt. He's out for the year. He's done. I mean, Penn State has just fallen apart in front of our very eyes. A team that had national championship aspirations, brought back not quite the entire farm because, they did not bring back Tyler Warren or Abdul Carter, but they brought back their quarterback. They brought back their backfield, both running backs. They got some skill players at receiver in the portal. They thought they upgraded there. They felt they upgraded that defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, which, maybe that'll be a whole separate video because I think he's a good DC, but Ohio State fans will tell you the first year or two, especially that first year with his system, it's not a well-oiled machine, and you've seen that now with Penn State. So they've thought that they were bringing guys back and or upgrading at certain positions or coaching positions, player positions, and they completely have fallen flat on their face. And it all goes back to James Franklin, and James Franklin keeps taking ownership of it. I mean, you watch the press conferences. I haven't watched the press conference after Northwestern yet, but I watched the one after Oregon, after UCLA, and he's right. It does all fall back on him as head coach. I don't know how this happens. I don't know how your team is just not this ready to play. And again, I'm not even talking about the Oregon loss. I'm talking about UCLA, Northwestern. Were they just defeated? Were they just absolutely defeated after the double overtime loss to Oregon? And then combine that with a long trip out west to the Rose Bowl, UCLA. Not having any home field advantage for a team can be really weird. You almost want it to be a tough place to play so that you have to get up for it. You have to get hyped for it. You know what I mean? And so just the Rose Bowl, UCLA is dead for their home games. And so that's like a weird energy game when there's no one there. You're not up for it. You just came off a big loss. You're traveling to UCLA. You're playing a bad team. It's a trap game. So all that makes sense. And I'm not excusing that loss, but it makes sense why they could slip up there. But then after that, it's just a chain effect. I mean, each week it kept getting worse, and then you lose to Northwestern, and it's like, okay, there's something wrong here. And so after the Northwestern loss, it felt like it was a matter of time. Is James Franklin going to be fired today, Sunday, as I'm recording this, or tomorrow, Monday, right? Like, you're not going to wait any longer. $50 million buyout, huge buyout. They have the money for it. Penn State's a big-time program. They have a lot of donors. If they wanted to get this done, they would get it done. And clearly this was the final straw with the loss to Northwestern.